So Ayurveda talks about meat in order to enhance your mamsa dhatu, that is the muscle tissue. Meat is very good. If you stay awake past 10 p.m., then the tendency of cortisol release is higher. Whether you want spiritual pursuit or materialistic pursuit, health is the foundation to achieve both. Some of the first advices given in Ayurveda for healthy longevity and vitality is becoming a morning person. No use, misuse or abuse or overuse of your sense organs is what is leading to disease.
Fourth generation Ayurvedic doctor and the founder of Sitaram Retreat. Our guest today on the Settle or Be Better podcast is Dr. Vignesh Devraj, who's going to be talking to us about Ayurvedic myths and facts. So, welcome, Dr. Vignesh, and over to you. Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your personal health and well being story and your current work?
Thank you, Sakshi. So, I'm Dr. Vignesh Devraj, founder of Sitaram Beach Retreat, and I also have a podcast called Ayurvedic Healing and Beyond. So, even though people say I'm a fourth generation Ayurvedic doctor, but my own personal story with Ayurveda in recovering my own health issues is where I found out about Ayurveda. I mean, not found out, like I went in depth about Ayurveda and became my own personal mission and vision.
That's great to know, and I'm sure that's exactly why our listeners are here today, right? I mean, to become to know their health better and to take better actions about their health and not hand it out to just any other doctor, right? So that's really great to know, and we're really glad to have you here today. And there's so many things that we'd like to discuss today, but I'm sure one of the biggest things, with the food wars and the so many conflicts that are happening in terms of nutrition and exercise, there's so many opposing opinions, right? And should we go with the older science, should we go with the newer science? One of the most conflicting thing today is when we think about Ayurveda or someone who lives by the Ayurvedic principles, does it mean you have to become a vegetarian? And
Hmm.
what is the truth about meat in Ayurveda?
So in Ayurveda, there is no such claims that Ayurveda is vegetarian or it says you have to be a strict only this kind of food you must eat. It talks a lot about the benefits of meat. It talks a lot about benefits of vegetarian food. It talks a lot about benefits of milk. It talks a lot about benefits of rice, sugarcane juice, water. I mean, a lot of things have been explained in detail. It is not a science that is telling you to limit your life. It is telling you how to enjoy your life at its best. However, there is a limit how much your sense organs can consume and process things in this world. There is a limit to that. If you go beyond that, that is when you start the beginning of the disease. The beginning of the disease is when you, like, there is a saying, misuse, abuse, or overuse or misuse and abuse. I think it's the same word but same meaning, but instead no use, misuse or abuse or overuse of your sense organs is what is leading to disease. And on top of that, there is this concept called prajnaparadam means even though I know smoking is bad, but something inside of me is making me smoke. Maybe I can manage it, but when I keep repeating it over a period of time, it compounds and you get into a trouble which could become irreversible later on. So it talks about these concepts. At the same time, it talks about the benefits of meat. So the one of my professors, Dr. Agnivesh, whose books have a lot influenced me and also his teachings have influenced me, he made a short write-up about one of the students from abroad. When he came down and when he studied Ayurveda, he was so upset that Ayurveda talks about meat, and he was a strong vegetarian. And I think he followed a particular sect and which was promoting vegetarian food. So he was married to the idea that vegetarian food is very important for you. So when he thought, okay, it is from India and Ayurveda is from India, so Ayurveda must be talking about non-violence and not eating meat. The moment he saw that, okay, Ayurveda talks a lot about meat, he got so upset. And what he did, he was translating it into his mother tongue language in foreign language. He eliminated all the aspects about meat and translated the part of Ashtanga Hridayam without the meat. So for this, my professor was saying that is the biggest violence he has done to Ayurveda by removing what is mentioned in the authentic manner. So in some people, meat is good. Some people, meat need not be digested well or processed well. Some people are following. For example, for me, I don't eat meat. I am very happy with vegetarian, and I feel very comfortable with vegetarian. And I just don't feel connected with the concept of taking a meat. But that doesn't mean that okay, because for me this works, everybody else should follow that. That is different. So Ayurveda talks about meat in order to enhance your mamsadadu, that is the muscle tissue. Meat is very good. That is what is mentioned in Ayurveda.
Understood. That was really beautifully explained. And, that's true. Like the story that you just talked about, that is exactly what happens. That a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of, Ayurvedic practitioners lead more by their own preferences, their own religious preferences, and, sort of eliminate the truth about Ayurvedic teaching. And they might just end up promoting what they personally believe as that is what Ayurveda says. And
Hmm.
there's so much of this happening, right? I mean, so many people, when they think about Ayurveda, we think that okay, we have to become vegetarians, and the people, it's more religious more than anything, right? So that really explains it. And when you say that it might be good for some people, it might not be, how can we determine that? And what would be the right way to meat consumption if someone would want to consider it?
So the meat explanation in Ayurvedic textbooks like Ashtangartyam, which was centuries before. So at that time, you didn't have the possibility of refrigeration. So you didn't have a longevity. I mean, when you consider the shelf life of the meat, it gets putrid very quickly. So unless you eat it soon, like after you cut it and you eat it soon, it'll be a perishable waste. So in those days, the meat was fresh and it was from an animal that must be very healthy as well. Need not be healthy, but comparatively today, it is not brought up in a cattle farm where it is raised and injected with a lot of chemicals and steroids and antibiotics. So in such a situation, taking those kind of meat at those point of time in certain people who are into a lot of physical manual work for them, it helped. Today we are consuming meat mostly, many of the people who are consuming meat today is mostly for gastronomic pleasure, not sure if they are really digesting it. So the agni bala will reduce as the quality of life increases if you are not indulging in good exercise and movement. Agni bala means your metabolism will go down if you are more and more comfortable. The comfort, more comfort, less movement means lower your metabolism. And lower your metabolism means it's going to be difficult to digest and process food that are quite heavy to process. And meat is a heavy to digest food material. It's not so easy to digest. Yes, plant based food is also heavy to digest, especially the cellulose, the outer lining, is quite difficult to process and digest. So, same way, when it comes to meat, if your metabolism is weak, then maybe consuming meat, you are just consuming it for the gastronomic purpose. Maybe it will lead to a lot of bloating and other kind of gut health issues. And there are is also studies. Consumption of red meat is correlated with colon cancer. There are studies that talks about that. So, in my personal view, see, nutrition is the most controversial topic that I've seen. Even God, even money, even sexuality, it is not as controversial as nutrition. I've seen meat eaters healthy, and I've seen meat eaters who are very unhealthy. I've seen vegetarians who are healthy, and I've seen vegetarians who are not healthy. So it is just one aspect of a life. And if you're some people they believe veganism is the most important. I've seen vegans who are very healthy and vegans who are very unhealthy and pale and malnourished as well. So the question is it because of the food? And then people will say it's not because of the food, there are other things. Yes, same way, it's like a confirmed bias. If I believe meat is very important for your protein, protein source is best from the meat, and meat is the only way I can have, then you will start doing things to make it a reality, and you will start looking for people who eat meat and who are healthy, and you see, oh, this is why they are healthy. And then you will start reading articles, you will start following pages that talks about why just plant-based food is not healthy. This is what I've seen, and people just get stuck into that narrative.
True, that's very true. That makes so much sense because we do let just one aspect of health govern all our decisions, and we feel like that's what would make a major difference. But it's just so many other things that we need to balance out. And today, if you go and search for anything on the internet, whether it's advantages or disadvantages of anything, you'll find research backing up everything, right? So, what you seek, you will find when you go out there, and that's what is happening with majority of people today. But that does really simplify the concept, and that is what we see in most Indian families who have meat eating in their family going on, and they have been they've grown up eating meat, but they are sedentary throughout. Like they might be working a corporate job, they might be working like long hours, and they still continue to eat the same way, thinking that it's healthy. But actually, if in all of these other factors also make a matter so much, right? So that makes so much sense. Thank you for sharing that. And something very interesting that I'd like to discuss is because since you mentioned smoking, talking about addiction, and since you do have a retreat of your own as well, what like have you ever worked with ex smokers who wanted to quit, and how has like Ayurveda helped them, or what are some things that they could really take from Ayurveda and the practices that really help them leave their smoking addiction or do the things that they want.
So my retreat is not a de-addiction center. My retreat is a place where people come for Ayurvedic treatments, a holistic well-being. And as a result, there are people who are able to come out of some of the unhealthy habits that they have. Now, de-addiction, see, addiction issues, it is an emotional health issue. Somewhere, some of their needs are not met, so they try to find their needs met through these kind of problems. Sorry. So, for example, let's take example of smoking. When people smoke, what happens is there is a slight increase of cortisol, and there is a nicotine that is entering your bloodstream, which gives you a slight kick. You feel quite high, and suddenly, because of this nicotine that is entering your system, you feel high and relaxed. Because of this high and relaxed, and also this because of the hand mouth movement, and also the idea that you are breathing deeply through your stomach and you're feeling relaxed, and this nicotine gives you a high, and then suddenly you feel you are away from all the problems and you're getting a time off. So then it becomes like a Pavlovian dog. The Ivan Pavlov, he came up with one of the most groundbreaking research. There is a dog, there is a bell, there is a food. Dog, bell, food. Dog, only bell, no food, and the dog starts salivating. So once you start smoking, the first time when people smoke, they think, oh, how on earth do people smoke? Like it tastes so sick, and they start coughing like crazy. But then peer pressure comes in. Oh, everybody smokes. It's so cool. James Bond smokes, Marlboro Man smokes, and then you see all the movies. Even though you write it, cigarette smoking is injurious to health, but you see all the cool stars smoking. It's so cool. So then you take it up, and then after 2 3 times, then you start feeling high little bit, and then it becomes a Pavlovian dog kind of an association. You start associating smoking means I am able to think better, relax better. Some people use it to poop, some people use it to escape, or I need a break, and they go for a smoke break. And then it becomes a pattern. And then they realize this is the only way they can think, and this is the only way they can relax. So it could be various reasons why people smoke. So the root cause is to identify why they want to smoke. Is it to escape certain things? Is it because some people say I am able to relax when I smoke? I mean, there are so many people who relax without smoking. Some people say, oh, when I smoke I'm able to think. There are so many people who think without smoking. So it is to identify what is that cause that is making that person do that, and that unmet need has to be released. And
Right.
also to make them realize smoking is I mean, if giving that disclaimer: smoking is injurious to health, it can create impotency, it can cause cancer, it can cause infertility issues. Nobody stopped. Even when you have those very scary photos outside of the cigarette uh, packets, but still people smoke. It didn't change an inch of. We really need to study if those pictures did make a difference in smoking, whether people reduce their smoking because of that or quit smoking because of that. So it is to understand what is the need, why are they getting into it. So in Ayurveda, if you look at it, it's a vata problem. Now, when I say vata problem, somewhere their emotions need to be addressed, emotional issues need to be addressed, and that comes with an overall lifestyle.
Right. Understood. That was really well explained, and it's true. If people who would want to quit could give it some thought, be a little bit more mindful about what are their triggers and why are they smoking the way they've been smoking over the years. It could really help them in some or the other way. So thank you for sharing that. And lastly, that when we talk about Ayurveda, there's so many Ayurvedic practitioners out there, and a lot of them talk about different things, right? And what would be some myths that you must have come across, like rumors or myths around Ayurveda that you would definitely like to clarify or bust today, that you don't want people to think that way about Ayurveda?
So the myths about Ayurveda, people say that everybody is a particular type. So Ayurveda doesn't. If you read the books like Ashtanga Hridayam or Charaka Samhita, it doesn't say everybody has to fall into this type. There's like few paragraphs that are written about it. And if you take Ayurvedic textbooks, uh, we talk about Prakriti. It's just a few paragraphs written about Prakriti. But if you look at some of the what Ayurvedic practitioners talk about or influencers talk about, they say that you'll have to fall into, are you Vata type, Pitta type, Kapha type. Now, I think that is a very big misunderstanding. We all can be all, and we keep changing. Today I can be, my vata can be high, and tomorrow if my circumstances change, I'll be more kapha, or I'll be more pitta. So we keep changing, and there is a certain group of people who will fall into all the categories, and all the categories in the sense they could be classified into, yes, very dominant in vata, very dominant in pitta, very dominant in kapha. It's a very few select people that we can see who fits into the entire vata, pitta, or kapha types. That's a very few category, but the majority of the population, it is a mix, and that mix keeps changing depending on the food, depending on the lifestyle, depending on the people that they are surrounded with, and depending on the climatic changes and the travels that they have. So instead of trying to label people, are you Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, instead trying to understand what are their triggers, what makes them unhealthy, what are the triggers that makes them unhealthy, and trying to bulletproof that triggers. That is where the concept of Ayurveda is. It's not about labeling. This is one myth that I have seen, which people need to understand.
Understood. Absolutely. I mean, that would be one of the first things that a lot of practitioners would talk about, right? I mean, when we are talking about Ayurveda, that's one of the first things that they would like to begin with introducing it to people. So that's very true. And, lastly, it's really not possible today for a lot of people to live their life by one school of study simply because of the lives we have, the responsibilities or the jobs that we might have. We might not be able to just live by one school of study, right? But what would be some of those practices today that definitely we can go back with, and we can fit into our modern life, in the city life, with our jobs and other responsibilities, that you would like people to take some time in a day and definitely do these Ayurvedic practices?
So one thing that, today we talk a lot about circadian rhythm. Now, if you take some of the first advices given in Ayurveda for healthy longevity and vitality is becoming a morning person. So if you can, and the city life means, a great city means you'll have a great nightlife, good eating options at night. So people tend to become a night owl in a city, because the environment is very conducive for entertainment at night, and also your work pressure, all of that is over, and you're quite free at night. And that is the time when you engage in a lot of activities. And the more you stay awake at night, in Ayurveda, there is this disease spectrum called Vata Raktam. So all the disease spectrum of autoimmune disease, arthritis, this falls under Vata Rakta. Now, one of the main contributors of Vata Rakta is a person who keeps awake very late at night. So, if you, wherever, whichever part of the world you're living, one of the reasons why people in villages could have a better, healthy life because they didn't have much of entertainment at night. They follow the circadian rhythm by default. So this idea that keeping awake at night, and even if I get 8 hours of sleep, that is fine. It's not about the number of hours. It is about what time you go to sleep, and then you fill up the quota of number of hours. Then only it makes sense. So in Ayurveda, it talks about becoming a morning person. So in order to become a morning person, you need to train yourself to go to bed early. So this is the first step that I highly recommend that is mentioned in Ayurveda. And the other one is once you follow a good circadian rhythm, your whole body's your nervous system starts feeling safe. And there are, if you read books about sleep, they talk about if you stay awake past 10 p.m., then the tendency of cortisol release is higher because our brain is an ancient creation, 200,000-year-old organ. And at that point of time, whenever somebody is keeping very awake at night, it's because there is an emergency or there could be a security threat. So even today, when you are awake for, could be for Netflix or could be for entertainment reasons, but staying awake means there is an emergency. That is how your inner body is going to feel. So inner body safety has nothing to do with your external security. It's just about routine. Good routine means your inner body feels safe. That is today. That is why many of the people who are into fitness and bodybuilding, they talk about only if you have a good sleep, your muscles will be repaired properly. Otherwise, it is not going to help. So, good sleep is a great way of rejuvenation, and that is why we have this word called beauty sleep. And even for mental health, when your sleep is not proper, your mental health can be triggered in a very wrong direction.
Understood. Lovely. I mean, everything that you've talked about today just opens up us a lot more to Ayurveda because to some of the younger folks when they come across Ayurveda or any of the teachings, sometimes it might be very overwhelming that I don't think I can adapt to these things and these might seem too ancient or too traditional. But today you've really like blended both of those worlds and made it a lot more
Hmm.
easier for us to think about it and approach it with much open mind than before. So thank you so much for these insights. They were really great insights. And as we conclude the episode today, do you have any last messages or thoughts to leave us with?
Life is about finding a balance and make yourself identify with I'm a healthy person. So once you identify yourself, I'm a very healthy person, then everything else in your life will just appreciate and get better. So that maybe work is a priority or family is a priority, but prioritize health on top of that so that maybe work is your priority, but if you prioritize health over it, your work will only get better. Maybe family is your priority, but if you prioritize health over it, your family life will be much better because you'll have more time with quality time with them. So that is why in Ayurveda it is mentioned whether you want spiritual pursuit or materialistic pursuit, health is the foundation to achieve both. So you need to have health as a foundation for everything that you want to achieve in your this life.
Absolutely. That's a lovely message, and I hope it reaches the audience and they are intrigued to study more about Ayurveda and the ways that they can, introduce these
Mm.
practices into their lives. Probably not completely, but some of them at least. Thank you so much once again for being here today. And for the ones who'd like to reach out to you, the details would be in the description below. They can check out Sitaram Retreat and also your podcast with so many amazing guests that you discuss with. So thank you so much once again, and all the details will be in the description below, and they can reach out and learn more about it.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. I'm Sakshi Pawar, and I'll be your host for the Settle or Be Better podcast. So stay tuned, and we bring more inspiring stories. You know the drill. Subscribe to the Settle or Be Better podcast, like, share, and comment on our videos, and oh, hit the bell icon because you don't want to miss the mind boggling health discussions we're about to bring for you. Why settle when you can be better?